Welcome to our online worship service at Orange Coast Unitarian Universalist Church. I am so glad you logged on this morning so that we, despite being physically separated, can still be in community and worship together. Thank you for joining us. My name is Rica and I'm your worship associate today. Your minister, Reverend Sean Wiltshire, will lead worship today. She is joined by a dedicated crew working hard to make this an enjoyable experience. Beth Syverson, our Director of Music Ministries, as well as our musical guest stars, James Yoshizawa and Jamie van der Sluis, who will provide us with wonderful music. The host of this Zoom room, who will ensure smooth transitions, is Steve Morihiro. On slides, we have Barbara Schilling and Catherine Martin and Ginny Chen are serving as our virtual ushers. Reverend Judy, our Director of Religious Education, already did a marvelous RE class for the children earlier this morning, and she will offer one for our youth after the service. Okay, now for Zoom live etiquette. Remember that your video is on. Others can see you. We ask that you stay muted throughout the service. However, if you stay on after the service, there will be a chance to check in with each other during our virtual coffee hour. That said, please say hello in the chat section and let us know that you are here. You can also post if you have any questions or technical difficulties, and someone will help you. If you cannot hear us, turn up your volume. If you join us from a tablet and have difficulty hearing anything at all, headphones often help. We're using a slideshow, so in order to see both the slides and the speaker well, I encourage you to go to the upper right corner of your screen and make sure that you're set to speaker view instead of gallery view. If you want to become more familiar with Zoom, contact our OCUUC Geek Squad and they will do some training with you after the service or later this week. You can send an email to geeksquad@ocuuc.org. And now, beloveds, let us walk together on our spiritual path. Let us once again affirm that all life has inherent value and that all existence is interconnected. Let us commit to creating a welcoming community without regard to the traits that sometimes divide people and without regard to the physical distance between us. Friends, members, and visitors, if you are seeking a spiritual connection and community despite social distancing, we hope that you will find it here. Most of what you need to follow this service will be on the screen in front of you, literally. Let us light our chalice. I have a chalice here, but if you would like to get out a candle or a chalice at home, we can light them together. We encourage you to say our unison affirmation even in the privacy of your own home, knowing that people all over the country and beyond are saying it with you. So let our worship begin with the lighting of our chalice as we say our unison affirmation. Love is the spirit of this church and service is its law. To dwell together in peace, to seek truth and love, and to help one another. This we affirm together.
Good morning, everyone. I want to encourage you all to sing. This is a participatory part of the service. Whenever you see lyrics on the screen, that means we want you to sing along. And even though we won't hear you because you're all muted, because if we all sing together, it would sound like a big mess, believe me. It has to do with the time it takes to get up to the satellite and back down. By the time the sound does that, it's late in different times for everyone. So we're going to sing, everybody muted except for me, but please do not make this a performance about me. I want it to be about you all, and you'll be able to see each other, moving your mouths and enjoying worship together. Sing with your joy, and we can't hear you, so we don't care if you don't sound perfect. So All right, we're going to start with a song we sung for years and years at our church. We'll sing it a little bit differently today. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Open your ears to the song. Open your ears to the song. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Open your hearts, everyone. Open your hearts, everyone. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. All right, you all. Don't be afraid of some change. Things might be different. Don't be afraid of some change. Today, even still, will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in.
Woohoo! You know what? I don't know about you, but what's coming through on my speakers, Beth, makes me sound so good. That was awesome. So wonderful. Welcome everyone to our first Zoom worship. I'm excited because today we are connected across wires, cloud to cloud, waves, sound waves, and of course our hearts. We're connected across time and space. We're connected by invisible droplets that have come to instruct us, to bring vivid real-time illustration of how much we need one another. Connected across race, nationality, political persuasion. We are connected across age and gender and economic status. We're connected across all the reasons that we normally separate and divide. We're connected by our humanness, by our need for connection, for love, for safety. We're connected by our need for access to healthcare and food, a place to lay our heads at night. We're connected by our need for hope, for kindness, for compassion and joy. May we take the lessons offered in this time and place with us as we navigate our way. May we remember in the days and years to come that truly we need each other. We need connection. Take it away, James. Ah, thank you, James. I needed that. Oh, my people. Wow, it's been quite the week. There's been a lot of news coming at us, and not just like news, but new things, new technologies, new ways of doing things, letting go of the old ways of doing things. I don't know if you remember a few weeks ago when we were doing famous sayings, I mentioned one of the most famous prayers in the world. That's the Serenity Prayer, right? I don't know about you, but I feel like I need this prayer right now. So this morning I thought we might spend a little time dealing with this prayer as we go through our service. And I want to give a shout out to my colleague and the former minister of this church for a brief time, Reverend Ed Brock. He recently has written a book on the Serenity Prayer, and he shared it with me, asking if I would give a quote on it, because he knows that this prayer is not just for people with addictions, but it's for all of us who need to learn to accept the things we cannot change, to have courage to change the things we can, and the wisdom to know the difference, right? Because I don't know about you, but I've been feeling rather powerless lately with all this stuff that's going on. I wish I knew when this outbreak and this physical isolation would end. I wish I knew when we're going to start our capital campaign again. I wish I knew when we can be together and hug one another again. But the only thing I do know is that this COVID-19 is here and it's spreading, and I don't know who's going to get ill. And I want to be honest with you, I'm getting very worried, even frightened at times, because I fear for all of you, my beautiful, beautiful congregants. I fear about you getting sick. I fear for my family, for my brother-in-law who has diabetes and my older sister who has an autoimmune disease. I've been afraid that I'm going to botch this service and let people down, that it won't be good enough. I'm afraid for my dogs. If something happens to me, who's going to take care of them? It's a lot of fear, worry, and anxiety right now. I just want you to know that you're not alone if you're feeling this too. So I just want you to invite for a moment to acknowledge those fears, anxieties, or worries that you are now holding in your heart. And I want you to kind of, as you're considering what those are, I'm going to read you a poem that Lynn Unger, the Reverend Lynn Unger, wrote. I believe she wrote it just like 3 days ago. And it was an email poem. It's called A Letter in Return. She wrote this. And how do you live? And what are your fears during this crisis? What a question to surface after midnight from across the world. In your country, is it the time of day to wrestle all the existential and daily dreads until, like Jacob and the vicious angel, you concede to bless us? I'm afraid that people I love will die. I'm afraid that my child is inheriting a world that is much harsher than what she deserves. I'm afraid that desperate times call for desperate measures, and I'm not quite desperate enough. Should I go on? I'm afraid that people have wandered away from the very idea of truth. I'm afraid we have unlearned how to speak and how to listen. I'm afraid the fabric that holds us together is woven more loosely than I thought, and people keep slipping through. So how do you live with grief, with fear, with laughter, with boredom, with glee, with contentment, with fury, with hope, with the firm conviction that one thing cancels any other thing out? Death does not cancel life. Grief does not cancel joy. Fear does not cancel conviction, nor any of those statements in reverse. So make your heart a bowl that is large enough to hold it all. Imagine that you are a potter. Stretch the clay, cherish the turning wheel, accept that the bowl is never going to be done. I invite you this morning to consider, what fears are you holding in your heart from these last weeks? And if you would like to share them, you're invited to write them in the chat box. And Beth will sing to us.
Join me. Comfort me. Comfort me. Comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me. Comfort me. Comfort me, oh my soul. Sing with me. Sing with me. Sing with me. Sing with me, oh my soul. Sing, sing with me. Sing with me, oh my soul. Speak for me. Speak for me. Speak for me, oh my soul. Speak for me. Speak for me. Speak for me, oh my soul. Comfort me one more time. Comfort me. Comfort me. Comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me. Comfort me. Comfort me, oh my soul.
Comfort me. Did you know that the word comfort means to make strong with? When we comfort someone, even ourselves, we give each other strength. Our souls are strong, and together we are strong. We are that potter that is learning to hold it all. The Serenity Prayer, it begins with, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. Grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. I'm working on the serenity part here. I'm getting a little bit better at the acceptance. I feel like the last 2 weeks have been lessons in accepting the things I cannot change. I can't change the fact that we need to go to online worship, or that I can't offer to hug someone I love, or that I can't be in 5 places at once. I mean, what's up with that? I wish I could. So serenity is still a long way off, but I'm getting to acceptance. One of the ways I've been getting to that is remembering my Buddhist teachings and learnings about letting go of that self-talk that wants to know everything is right, that I can control everything, that wants to control just everything, but it's hard to let go. Recently in our board meeting on Saturday, Deborah, our wonderful president, said, so Reverend Sian, what can you let go of? What can we help you with? She had some very good practical ideas, but I think it's a really good question for all of us. So I've been thinking about that. What can I let go of? Well, I'm letting go of perfection. trying to control everything that will go perfectly in this worship service. I'm letting go of the fact that I can't call each and every one of you right now, and I'm trusting my wonderful pastoral care associates to be reaching out. I'm letting go of my fears for the future because I can't predict how it's going to go, and that every day brings new and unseen challenges and also joys, like seeing all of you here. I'm letting go of my fear that my beloved community will feel alone and isolated. Instead, I'm jumping for joy every time I see one of you non-techie people trying out new technology, even when it's frustrating. Like, I can't tell you how happy that makes me. Thrilled. So what can you let go of? What can you let go of? As you consider, Rica is going to teach us a bit about this Buddhism, which has so much to say on the matter. Take it away, Rica.
This is a reading by the Reverend Carl Gregg. The meditation teacher, Joseph Goldstein, was leading a meditation retreat when a student came to see him, filled with anxiety. The man said, "I just had a terrible experience. I was meditating and I felt tension in my jaw, and I suddenly realized what an uptight person I am, how I can't get close to anyone, and that I am going to be alone for the rest of my life." Joseph took a deep breath and said, "You mean you felt some tension in your jaw?" The man plowed forward, saying, "I'm pretty sure I'll always be tense. I'll never change. I feel hopeless." Joseph said, "You mean you felt some tension in your jaw?" The man continued barreling down this path of misery for some time, all because of his sore jaw, until Joseph interrupted him and said, "You're having a painful experience. Why are you adding a horrible story about yourself?" This experience parallels an ancient Buddhist teaching called the Arrow Sutra, which says that when hit with discomfort, we feel two affliction: the inevitable physical feelings and the additional mental reactions. For instance, if I accidentally hit my elbow on a door frame, there would be an inevitable physical feeling of pain. But there might also be an additional mental reaction, such as putting myself down, calling myself names, and other things I have no more control over, and I have more control over that second part. The Arrow Sutra invites us to imagine these two afflictions as arrows, as in arrows in a quiver for archery. We can't do anything about the first arrow once it hits. Sometimes, despite our best efforts, we are hit with various inevitable afflictions. But the Arrow Sutra challenges us that we can practice letting go of those additional arrows of our mental reactions, instead of shooting them into ourselves. This teaching is often summarized as pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. As the meditation teacher Jack Kornfield has put it, we are often quite loyal to our suffering. The good news is that learning different ways of being in the world is part of why many of us show up to religious communities week after week, even if we can only show up online. We come to be reminded that to practice loving kindness with our own imperfections. We come to practice a more tender, spacious, and respectful relationship to ourselves, one another, and this world. I invite you to take a few moments and ponder this question. What suffering do you have right now that you can let go of? And as Beth is going to play us beautiful music again, I hope that you feel comfortable sharing them in the chat area.
God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, and it continues the courage to change the things I can. So it's not all bad news. We do have some control over some things, right? We can make choices, like not going out as much, by standing 6 feet away from a loved one we'd much rather hug, but knowing that we do so out of love. We can learn new technologies and let them help us connect with one another. We can recognize that much of our resistance to all this new stuff, quite frankly, is often our ego's desire to not look bad, to not feel stupid or inadequate, which of course no one else is worried about, but because we love one another, right? But of course we are our harshest critics. Sometimes amid all the news out there, we kind of forget, I think, also to see the forest through the trees. I just invite you to sort of look around you. You know, for all those stories of people hoarding food or toilet paper, what I found is that there's even more people that are sharing. There are stores that are mindful of the elderly and opening it up for the elderly first. And people are smiling to them when there are more thoughtful considerations. Nurses and doctors are working long hours. There's actually far more goodness out there in the world. Because here's the thing, the human spirit is really an amazing thing. It's weird, we focus on the bad when we're often surrounded by the good. I think it's kind of our amygdala that kind of gets to us, that fight or flight process in our brains. Because there are actually a ton of things that you can do today, and you can do tomorrow. You can call people that you know, right? And catch up with old friends. Call people in the church, particularly the ones that you know that live alone, but even the ones that are with people, call them, say hello. If you're one of those crafty people like my sister, my twin sister, she's a quilter, you can actually make masks, medical masks that are CDC qualified. They've got YouTube videos on this, on how to do it. I'll just warn you that they're running out of elastic at the stores for it. So run out there and get that if you can, or order it online. You can host Zoom cocktail parties. I actually know that Tom's already done that, in fact. And some people are putting their auction events online. You can learn the new technology so that those of us who love you, you can connect with us, and vice versa. You can sign up either in your town or even with our caring folks. This will go out here in the next week to help deliver groceries or medicines for those who are quarantining themselves. You can simply be kind to the grocery workers. One of the things that I've loved these days is that people are sending each other funny memes that make you laugh. I know Barbara has been putting up on our Facebook page all these things that you can do out there while you're quarantined. I love all these things, all these wonderful ways that we're connecting. You know, one of the things I was listening to a New York Times technology reporter, he said, you know, I'm used to reporting all the things, all the ways on the internet that were mean to one another, the bullying, the competition, all those sorts of things. But right now, he said, what I'm seeing actually is how incredibly kind people are being to one another. People using technology to reach out and spend time together. People helping out others to get online. So even if we have all these fears and we don't know what's going to happen, we're losing some control of our lives, there are choices that we can make in this moment, right here, today, tomorrow, that we can do for a better world. And recognizing this, it kind of gives us a path, an orientation, a compass point to tell us where we can go. So again, I want to ask you, what is something that you can do? What will be your orientation right now? And our next reading is about finding that direction. Take it away, Rica.
This is a poem called The Trough by Judy Brown. There's a trough in waves, a low spot where horizon disappears and only sky and water are our company. And there we lose our way unless we rest, knowing the wave will bring us to its crest again. There we might drown if we let fear hold us in its grip and shake us side to side and leave us flailing, torn, disoriented. But if we rest there, in the trough, in silence, being in the low part of the wave, keeping our energy and noticing the shape of things in the flow, then time alone will bring us to another place where we can see horizon, see land again, regain our sense of where we are and where we need to swim. I invite you to take a moment and ask yourself, what is something you can do now? And if you feel comfortable doing so, please share your answers in the chat area.
Breathing in, I am alive right here. Breathing out, my mind is clear. Breathing in, my body is at ease. Breathing out, I am at peace. Breathing in, I am alive right here. Breathing out, my mind is clear. Breathing in, my body is at ease. Breathing out, I am at peace. Join me on this next time. Breathing in, I am alive right here. Breathing out, my mind is clear. Breathing in, my body is at ease. Breathing out, I am at peace. Breathing in, I am alive right here. Breathing out, my mind is clear. Breathing in, my body is at ease. Breathing out, I am at peace. Breathing in, I am alive right here. Breathing out, my mind is clear. Breathing in, my body is at ease. Breathing out, I am at peace. Breathing in, I am alive right here. Breathing out, my mind is clear. Breathing in, my body is at ease. Breathing out, I am at
Wow, you guys are awesome. I'm reading your chats and I'm just like so impressed with you guys. I love it. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. The wisdom to know the difference. That's the hardest thing, right? You know, the thing about wisdom is that it doesn't come with age, actually. It's a little bit of a misnomer. It doesn't come from a bottle, doesn't even come from a book. It comes from within us, from reflecting on our experiences and finding meaning in them. Here's something this experience has taught me. Right now, we actually don't need social distancing. We need physical distancing. What we need right now is social connection. And this we actually have control over. We can choose to isolate, making people worry over us, or we can reach out and in this holy task of love, this physical distancing, we can let people know that we love them. Because this physical distancing, this physical isolation is a holy task of love for our world. And our other holy task, though, is to connect. We do that here on Zoom each Sunday. We do it on Facebook. We're going to start up more and more ways for all of us to connect with one another. It's going to take courage for some of us to embrace this technology, but it gets easier. And we're here for you. Our Geek Squad is here for you. We love you. We have patience, don't worry. We don't care if we have to wait for you to figure it out. We just want you here with us. Because in the end, we're all in this together and we need one another. I need you. I need to know that you're safe and well. I have one last reading for you this morning that sums this up. It's called Lockdown by Richard Hendrick. Yes, there is fear. Yes, there is isolation. Yes, there is panic buying. Yes, there is sickness. Yes, there is even death. But they say that in Wuhan, after so many years of noise, you can hear the birds again. They say that after just a few weeks of quiet, the sky is no longer thick with fumes, but blue and gray and clear. They say that in the streets of Assisi, people are singing to each other across the empty squares, keeping their windows open so that those who are alone may hear the sounds of family around them. They say that a hotel in the west of Ireland is offering free meals and delivery to the housebound. Today, a young woman I know is busy spreading flyers with her number through her neighborhood so that the elders may have someone to call upon. All over the world, people are slowing down and reflecting. All over the world, people are looking at their neighbors in a new way. All over the world, people are waking up to a new reality about how big we really are, about how little control we really have, and to what really matters, to love. So we pray and we remember that yes, there is fear, but there does not have to be hate. Yes, there is isolation, but there does not have to be loneliness. Yes, there is panic buying, but there does not have to be meanness. Yes, there is sickness, but there does not have to be disease of the soul. Yes, there is even death, but there is always a rebirth of love. Wake to the choices you make as to how to live now. Today, breathe. Listen behind the factory noises of your panic. The birds are singing again. The sky is clearing. Spring is coming. And we are always encompassed by love. Open the windows of your soul, and though you may not be able to touch across the empty square, sing.
I think that's my cue. This is a song we sang quite a bit a few months ago. You definitely know the chorus if you've been around recently. The verse might not be as familiar, so feel free to just join in on chorus if that's what works for you. To be humble, to be kind, it is the giving of the peace in your mind. To a stranger, to a friend, to give in such a way that has no end. We are love, we are one, we are how we treat each other when the day is done. We are peace, we are war, we are how we treat each other and nothing more. To be bold and to be brave, it is the thinking that the heart can still be saved, and the darkness can come quick. The dangers in the anger and in the hanging on to it. We are love. when the day is done. We are peace, we are war, we are how we treat each other and nothing more. Tell me what it is that you see, a world that's full of endless possibilities, and heroes don't look like they used to, they look like you do. We are love, we are one, we are how we treat each other when the day is done. We are peace, we are war, how we treat each other and nothing more. Again, we are love, we are one, we are how we treat each other when the day is done. We are peace, we are war, we are how we treat each other and nothing more. We are how we treat each other and nothing more.
Oh, it's so good to be with you all virtually. And we actually capped out at 100 participants. We're going to have to up our number of people who can join us. I'm so excited. Well, as you all know, I'm sure most of you know that Unitarian Universalist congregations we're fully self-supporting, meaning that our members and friends raise all of the funds for our operating costs for our budget, our ministries and programs of the church, and we're really grateful for all of the gifts of your time, treasure, and talent. And we amplify this generosity, the spirit of generosity, by giving half of our plate to an organization that shares our values. And every other month we do this for Stand Up for Kids. This is an ongoing support that we give them, and they really need it. And as I'm sure you can imagine right now, they're really struggling with keeping the youth safe and their volunteers safe, and trying to figure out how do they do this even virtually together. So now you might be wondering, well, how in the world can I give now that we don't have passing the plate around here? But there are actually two wonderful ways, and our wonderful VP of Finance, Meg Wilson, has found the second way to do it. So the first way is through our website. I showed you this last week. You can go to our website under the support, and then it says Give Now, and follow the prompts there. And you can just choose plate and make a plate offering there. You can even pay your pledge there if you like. But the other one that we've set up now is this app that you can download on your smartphone. It's called Give Plus. It's kind of cool because once you get it set up, just every week you can just go in there and do, you know, whatever it is that you do. So, which is kind of cool. I've tested it. It's very cool and very easy once you get it set up and everything. And if you need help getting that set up, contact our Geek Squad and they'll walk you through it if you would like to give that way. So there's going to be more instructions that are going to be sent to you after this service in an email. So look for that if you want to know exactly how to do all these things. But for those of you who feel comfortable in giving now, I invite you to do so. We have a special guest vocalist that you can listen to as you fill out your donation. So thank you, as always, for your generosity as the offering is given and received.
There's a land that I heard of once in a lullaby. Somewhere over the rainbow, skies are blue. the dreams that you dare to dream really do come true. Someday I'll wish upon a star and wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where troubles melt like lemon drops away above the chimney tops. That's where you'll find me somewhere. The rainbow, bluebirds fly. Birds fly over the rainbow. Why if happy little bluebirds fly beyond the rainbow, why, oh, why can't Thank you.
Please join us in singing We Gather Together, a song that puts our intentions into words and expresses our gratitude for the many gifts that we share.
We gather together, we gather as one, for peace, love, and justice for everyone. We give from our hearts to show that we care. We can change lives with what we share.
Okay, so now's that time. Joys and sorrows, we're not skipping this. This is one of the most important times in our church, and you're invited, member, friend, visitor, to participate in this. It's where we acknowledge those important and powerful moments in our lives. In order to begin, I just invite you to take some deep breaths. We've been through a lot already through this morning. And as you become more fully present here, be aware of what maybe you're holding in your heart. And if you'd like to honor such a profound joy or sorrow, you are invited to do so. If you'd like to share it with the congregation, please type it in the chat below. And I also invite you, if you like, to light a candle of your own in solidarity for those who are expressing their joys and sorrows. I've got one here. So go ahead and do that. And I will also read to you those that have come out. Beth is going to play for just a short moment as anybody would like to express them. Oh, Beth, I think you're muted. Beth may not be able to play. Oh, there she is. All right. So I want to let you know I've got two that were sent to me. One is from Sharon Ball, who lit a candle of gratitude for Elaine Diorio, who's been her personal shopper this last week. So Sharon has been self-quarantining, and she says she now has 24 eggs, toilet paper, bagels, and oranges. She says, thank you, Elaine, so much. And I know I see that Euless lit a candle that she's very grateful that we still have one another. And Katie is grateful because the law school canceled grades for this semester. Major stress relief, right? That's excellent. Jeffrey has a joy because he got a great Facebook conversation going. Valerie lit a candle of joy for being able to work from home, which has been a huge blessing for her. She's had serious health issues, but she loves her job, and this is the perfect setup for her. Deborah expresses a joy for the Zoom service and all the people who put it together, and for all of us being together this morning. Amen. Catherine, but I know how important it is that you have had to take the service online, but I'm joyful that it has allowed me to go from just watching the sermon on YouTube to actually being part of the entire service, and we're glad to. Rachel lit a candle of joy that she's been able to buy enough food, and a candle of joy from the Killshore family for their grandparents who are doing well and they're able to talk to them regularly. Sue Kwam says thank you to me and to the volunteers who made this service happen, and the board and the committees for all their work. And I know that there are some sorrows as well. So Kathleen lit a candle of concern for Jimmy. She's a young man who lives in the group home with her son, and he's been hospitalized for 5 days now. They don't know whether it's COVID-19 or not. I'm sure he's frightened and feels alone, but understanding what is happening. Please hold them in your hearts. And Ginny Chan lit a candle of concern for her mother-in-law in Tacoma, who is in the hospital with a non-coronavirus problem. She also lit a candle of love for her mother in Connecticut, who's struggling with life in the time of coronavirus. And Carolina, she said, we're joyful for the gift lessons I learned from my father. I'm not sure what that means, but I love it. There's a lot of gifts going around. Oh, everyone. Let us hold in love all the joys and celebrations, all the hurts and sadness, both spoken and silent. Let our joys remind us to be thankful, our concerns remind us to hope, and our sorrows remind us to connect. Let all these moments remind us that we are not alone. Our prayer today is to once again, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen.
It is now the time in our service where we join together as we extinguish the flame of our chalice, mine right here and the one that you may have in your living rooms. We extinguish this chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. When you look around this morning, you see your own living room. But when you look at the screen in front of you, you will see that our community is still here. We're still in community with each other. And by our continued presence with each other via phone, Facebook, Zoom, email, or snail mail, who knows, we will make all the difference. So before this service ends, write us a comment in the chat area. Tell us how you are, or share something you appreciated about today's service. You can also use the comment section to be in conversation with each other, or stay on after the service and check in during our virtual coffee hour. And if you're a guest, a visitor, or someone who hasn't been known to us yet, definitely please leave us a comment so that we can reach out to you, sign you up for our weekly newsletter, The Blast, and answer whatever questions you may have. But please, all of you know that even though in-person worship has been suspended for now, church is not, and neither is our community. Both of these prevail.
And of course, announcements that I want to let you know about, some stuff that's going on. A couple things I just really want to make sure that you understand. Check your junk mail folder and check emails. One of our major ways that we are sending out information to get people connected. Just this morning, I went into my junk email and I found one that was sent, and the blast was there, and one that Reverend Judy sent me was there. So please check your junk mail regularly. I don't know why it's going there, but hopefully you can just tell your email application, don't do that, and hopefully it'll get fixed. But definitely try to do that. And I've just been so impressed with everyone. I can't tell you how happy I am to see you all and to know that you're connecting, particularly for those of you who are trying out technology for the first time this week. There are stuff that you can see there. I've got open Zoom office hours. I had someone join me on Friday. Make a note of them. It's the same meeting ID as this one here. We're going to post it also on our calendar on our website, so you can click through there and get during that time. We're doing a training for program leaders. Steve and I don't know if you're aware, I call Steve the Zoom whisperer because he's absolutely amazing. And he and I are going to do a training on helping people learn how to host a Zoom meeting so we can get programs like our sermon discussion groups and book groups and all sorts of things up. And in fact, Maureen McConaughey is jumping in with an auction item that she's opening up to everybody on Sudoku and Ken Fun. So do that. And Rica's even doing a story time with kids, and there's going to be a lot more to come. So stay with us. We're going to be doing a lot of really fun things. And there's one thing I just want to acknowledge, one person in particular. I know I don't normally want to single out one person, but I just want to give a huge public thank you to Nina Smith. Okay, she's one of our board of trustees. I just want to know, so like when all of this started coming down, I get this phone call from Nina, and she's, and at this time I'm like thinking, oh my gosh, okay, how are we going to get everybody online? How are we going to do this? I'm thinking in my head. And so Nina calls me, and there's almost this panic in her voice. So she's just like, Reverend Sean, we've got to get our elderly online. We've got to get the people who don't know. We've got to figure out how to do training. You know, I'm so concerned. Oh my goodness, you know, we don't want to get them to be isolated. How can we do this? We got to do something like a geek squad. And then she said the words that every minister longs to hear. She said, and I'll organize it. I was like, I swear, the clouds opened up. The sunshine came down. I heard glory, hallelujah. It might have been in my head, but it was so awesome. And she has been amazing in organizing this Geek Squad and helping people get connected. And she's loving it. She really is loving it. So reach out if you need anything, geeksquad@ocuuc.org. And she and all of the Geek Squad have been so wonderful, so amazing. With patience of saints, don't worry if you're struggling, they will help you. Okay, so again, I'm so grateful that you're all connecting. Beth is actually going to teach us a new song to sing for our benediction. I think it says it all about how we feel.
So the chorus is going to be up on the screen. It's very easy, and it'll be an earworm, just to warn you. You'll be singing it all day. I'll sing a few verses. This was written this week by a Unitarian Universalist in the Adirondacks, and I hope you enjoy it. To my loved ones and relations, with me in spirit every day, and to neighbors I have not yet met, close to home or far away. Be safe, be well, you mean the world to me. Be safe, be well, you mean the world to me. To my friends who make music, and that's all of you, sharing joy both for
to those who we depend on, to teach, to heal, and to guide. Be safe, be well, you mean the world to me. Be safe, be well, you mean the world to me. And to all who hear this message, to stranger and to friend, here's an embrace of music until we meet again. Be safe, be well, you mean the world to me. Be safe, be well, you mean the world to me.
Well, we are going to now unmute you if you like, and you're welcome to unmute yourself, and feel free to stick around and chat either verbally or written, because this service is over, but let our service continue.